Hello, everybody. This is Derek from Sports Information. I have Coach here. I'll turn it over to him for some opening comments, and then we'll take your questions about Winthrop.
Thought we did some decent things against Detroit. Defensively, the same thing I mentioned after the game, I think held true when I watched the film, continuing to improve in post defense. I thought we had some holes there. Transition defense, I think, is getting better, but we still could be better there. Positioning off the ball. We looked at those things yesterday. We'll continue to fine-tune them today. Offensively, I thought we did some good things. We had some good possessions where we really shared the ball. I thought that our bigs needed to post harder. Watching, obviously we want to throw it inside, but they've got to do a better job, I think, of demanding the ball in and around the basket and in the paint. I think our offensive rebounding effort has to get better on that side of the ball as well. I think we can be better. Certainly adding Leron Black will help with rebounding at both ends of the floor. So we're excited to get him back for tomorrow night's game. Obviously heading into Winthrop, big-time challenge. Really, really good offensively. Very well coached. Really impressed with the kid Keon Johnson, the point guard, who's the preseason player of the year. Has an effect on the game and their team. Reminds me a little bit of the guy I coached at Ohio, Cooper. He's really talented, really shifty, really quick, puts pressure on the defense. Obviously the other night when they lost at Florida State by 14, he did not play. We're preparing as if he's playing. So really he's kind of the head of the snake. And then they have a four-man, Cooks, who's 6'8", 6'9", and, reminds me a lot of a kid that I coached that passed away here in the last few months, Joel Cornett, who coached at Butler. Some tendencies as well. Darren Hurts is on my staff, plays a little bit like Joakim Noah as well, can really handle it like a guard, pass it at 6'8", 6'9", athletic, long, get you on the glass, leads their break from his position, which is rare for a guy 6'8", 6'9". And, they got good play off the bench with guys that provide them with energy and experience. They're 2 and 3, can really shoot the basketball at a high clip. Obviously, Johnson at the point, and the kid Cooks I mentioned that can really break down defense, as well as Davenport, make those shooters even more of a factor. And then their 5 is just a great athlete, shot blocker, finisher, dunks everything around the rim. They're obviously the preseason favorite in the Big South, and it's pretty evident watching them play on film why. So be a great challenge for us, one our guys are looking forward to. Questions?
Hey, John, this is Mark. Can you tell, is Leron fired up about finally getting to play again?
Yeah, he's very excited. Really anxious to get out there tomorrow. But he's been playing every day in preseason, obviously, and then as we started the regular season here in practice, and has played well, rebounded it well, which we all know he has a gift there, and has really shot it well, plays with great motor and energy. I think certainly with the preseason practices and the practices even since we started playing, you put all those things together, I think it's certainly the best that he's played in his career to this point. He knows the system better. He knows terminology. He understands what's going on. And I think, we mentioned Tate the other day, a little bit like Tate. He's been through a lot, and, I think certainly his gratitude for the opportunity and the chance to learn and has been very evident to me in his body language, things he says verbally. And, I think that certainly has spurred even more concentration, more focus, and even more of a chip on his shoulder.
Hey, John, this is Scott. You mentioned a couple of their bigs. You guys will probably still have the size advantage, but is this going to be maybe the best test your post players have had, just in terms of guys that maybe match up a little more with them?
I don't know in terms of I wish I could say that, Scott. I'm really worried about our matchup with those guys because they're so good at driving the ball from those positions. I mentioned the kid Cooks earlier. Davenport plays some 4 as well. Those guys they're like perimeters. But in terms of size, obviously their 5-man's a great athlete, shot blocker, great finisher around the rim. So they'll get tested there in and around the paint with him. And then their kid number 31, who's undersized, plays some 5 for him, but plays with ridiculous motor and energy. Reminds me of Leron in that regard. So, yeah, no question, we'll be tested. Part of it will be in the paint, but part of it will be, we've got to sit down and we've got to guard the basketball against their 4s in particular, and even 5, depending on who they put at 5, that can really drive the ball. And then they spread you out because they're such a good shooting team. They're averaging almost 9 3-point field goals made a game. Then you put the little fella out there just in space, and he's hard to keep in front. He's very shifty. He gets in the paint. He makes plays and creates plays for himself as well as for his teammates. So, we're going to be it's the stiffest challenge we've had so far, certainly defensively. They are really, really good offensively. They were last year. They return almost their entire firepower. As I said earlier, there's a reason they're predicted to win their league, and the reason that their point guard is preseason player of the year and Cook's a first-teamer. And, they're good. They're really good, and they're really well coached, and so our guys are looking forward to competing against them tomorrow.
I got another one. 2 out of the 4 games, there's been at least 50 fouls called. Your opponents had more in both instances, but is that kind of just an ongoing conversation?
Yeah, I think it's just a trend right now. Guys are getting used to some of the new rules and the new interpretations, and we've had officials in all preseason and showed them the officiating video for the year, and officiated practice a certain way. And I think sometimes people forget, as hard as it is for the players to adjust, sometimes it's not easy for the officials to adjust either. Some of the stuff is new, and, I think we're all kind of in education mode right now, trying to figure it out. But I would foresee that thing, Scott, settling down a little bit as the players and officials continue to adjust to the new rules and the new rule interpretations.
I guess as a follow-up to that, you're trying to push the tempo a little bit with the stoppages in games like that. Does that kind of get you a little bit of in and out of the offense you kind of want to run?
You got to be able to play both ways. Good offensive teams can play full court and half court, and we want to be one of those teams. Obviously in a perfect world, certainly you want, if you're trying to play fast, and any team across America that's goal is to play fast, is you want as much flow as possible. Obviously if there's fouls, if there's a lot of stoppages, it certainly starts to make it more of a dead ball game, half court game. And but we've got to be able to execute either way. But certainly, the more stoppages there are, it's a fact that it certainly can at times disrupt the flow of the game.
Coach, this is Derek. You talked about the talent that Keon has at point guard. Does it make you feel good that your rotation's playing well, and can you utilize that depth in this matchup?
Well, yeah, I hope so, Derek. We'd like to utilize that depth, every night. We've got, now especially with Boogie back, with Leron's back, we've got depth at every position. Should allow us to play even harder for longer periods of time, run faster, give more effort on the glass. We're blessed right now with that situation where we've got some depth, and as long as guys, continue to understand it's about the team, and that they, serve each other and they're willing to sacrifice, because, we've got some guys that maybe if we're playing a different style or they were on a team that didn't have as much depth, would certainly probably play more. And they know that, and I know that, and we've not shied away from that. But our depth can certainly be our strength if guys have the right disposition, the right attitude, and are really locked in, and regardless of when they come in and out of games, they're ready to help Illinois. And so far we've had that, but it's early. You learn a lot more when you get popped in the mouth, but at this point, in this juncture, we've been pretty good with that. Guys have been ready for the most part. I thought the other night our bench was just terrific in terms of what they brought us to the game, and we're going to need them to be that way for us to have the best team that we can have this year. We got to have all hands on deck.
Okay, everyone, I don't hear anything else, so thanks for joining us.
Thanks guys.
Coming to players, we'll do them at 2:10 over at State Farm Center in the tunnel. Thanks.